topics that really need life with your host, Ben and Dave, coming to you live today. Grab your cup of joe and take some fucking notes, you bitch.
And we are back with another morning roast edition of the Black with No Cream podcast, where every Wednesday morning we deep dive into creative topics with the goal of giving you a daily dose of motivation and inspiration. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World. This is my co-host, David Malave. What's happening, David?
What's up, man? Nothing much. You're just in the same place I was yesterday and the day before that and 3 weeks before that.
Good to hear it. That means that you're following the rules indeed. That's pretty dope of you, Dave. Today we figured we'd chat about some, well, I don't know. How do you put it? Sometimes you feel like fucking it's not working. You know what I mean, Dave?
Sometimes you just got to kick it. I basically guess that's kind of the point here.
Yeah. We know that on the podcast, we're always trying to encourage people to find alternative ways to like learn and exercise creativity and practice and fucking, indulge in content that's going to teach you and level your shit up. But I think that there's only so much we can do when we're isolated. And then at a certain point, it becomes almost exhausting or defeating. Like I found myself feeling defeated on certain days where I'm like, I just can't get into the groove right now. It's Monday. This should be the top of the day, or this should be the top of the week where I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna crush this week. And then I get into the office or whatever. I wake up, I'm just like, I don't really feel like doing shit. And I think what me and Dave realized is that that's absolutely okay. Dave had a good example. Tell him about when you were laying in bed the other day and you were getting down on yourself.
No, because I had one of those days where, like, you just sit at your desk and I'm just wanting to be productive, and I know there's a million things I need to do or I could be doing, but I literally could not find the motivation to do anything, and kind of like waited through the whole day. Before you know it, it's like 7 p.m. and I'm just laying there and I'm just like kind of beating myself up internally of like, I would like be productive. Like, why wasn't I productive today? And then my girlfriend was here and she was like, it's okay. Like, there's always tomorrow. And I was literally like,
dun, dun,
right.
dun.
Well, you know what? That just sounds so simple, but I was literally like, you're right. Like, why am I going to continue? It's 6 p.m. already. Why am I going to beat myself up when I can just hit it hard tomorrow? And the next day, sure enough, like, so then that night I checked out, we watched Netflix, made a good dinner, went to bed. And the next day I woke up and I was inspired, was motivated that day. And I feel like sometimes you just got to clock out. Sometimes, and that's the thing, especially here, because we're stuck in our house, in my house, and we work from home all the time, right? So we decide when we clock in, clock out, and that's part of being a freelance entrepreneur or whatever. You got to like set those boundaries for yourself. But I feel like it's so easy to just keep. I could stay at this desk till 10 p.m. just like force myself to do stuff, and like there's a point where it's not even productive like to keep going.
No, I agree.
And like. So
no, it is.
So now, honestly, during quarantine, I've been finding myself indulging so much more than I ever have in TV shows. Like, never, like before this happened, I was always on the move. I never really found time, and now it's like I've really found time to like dive into these shows. And there's so many great shows out. Honestly, we should just start talking about some because they're
I agree.
Dope.
Well, and I also think, like, to me, when I look at it, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to just go sit down and watch like a show. Like, that could be time that I'm spending doing this, or that's time I could be making this content, or YouTube, or we need to make all these things for the podcast and all the shit that you're constantly thinking about. When I first started doing taxes, I was like, yo, can I put my Netflix account as something, as like a business expense? You know what I mean? That was like one of my first questions I had for my tax person. Cause I'm like, I literally am spending like $100 a year on this platform. And I truly feel that it is a tool. It's something that I'm using to learn or educate myself or inspire myself creatively, which somehow should deserve to be written off as like $100 that I spent on my business expense. You know what I mean? But I think that when you watch, like for me, it's like, I would always struggle with that same thing where it's like, fuck, I feel like I'm not doing enough if I'm taking me time. But I also have been to the point where I've spent a couple days here. I think like last week I struggled with this, where I just come here and I just be like, damn, what the fuck am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like, what do I need to do? There's a laundry list of shit I need to do. And I just continued to like let that kind of overlap with each other, where I would just kind of sit here and not really do anything at all. But I felt like I was kind of poking at shit so that it was productive in a way, where I probably would have had a way more solid reset in my brain if I would have just gone home, fucking threw some meat on the grill or something and kicked it outside and had a drink on my balcony in the sun instead of sitting in here in the dark and trying to make something happen, and just sat down and watched some TV or some shit or play Call of Duty or something, just like reset your brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's so key, but it's also, you just have to be real with yourself, right? Like the whole goal of this shit, especially when you work for yourself, right, is you have the freedom to just call it. You just got to know, first off, you obviously want to have way more good days than you have bad days. Like if you're calling it every day, then obviously you're not getting shit done, right? But like you gotta know when, like, it's just not your day, and you're gonna, when you go home and kick it, that you're gonna bring it the next day. You know what I mean? Right. Obviously, if you just like, if you become a person where you're like, oh, I don't have it. You sit down at your desk, you start something, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and you leave, like, you're not gonna get shit done. But like when you're working so hard every day and you're always putting your hands to the grindstone, there's gonna be days where you're like just not with it, or you just like aren't inspired. And of course, we've had plenty of morning roasts where we talk about, this is how you can structure your days, this is how you can set to-do lists, this is how you can like mentally prepare and like make sure that you're attacking every hour, like being as productive as possible. But even then, sometimes like I'll stare at the list and it's like dialed as fuck, like we're gonna do this from this hour, blah blah blah, and I look at it and like that, you just don't have it that day, or you're just not with it. And that's when you got to know that it's okay to have balance, you know? And like, and I feel like people can relate in the sense of like, you're actually the most insane worker that I know in my life, because you like all day are just like pissed, not pissed necessarily, but you're just like driven by the fact that you could be doing more. Always.
Yeah, it's like a weird depression.
At every hour of the day, you're thinking about, we're not doing enough. And at some point that runs its course, like on your like happiness and mental sanity for that day, specifically. That's not necessarily every day, right?
Right.
But so and we're people like that. We're always trying to do more. We know that there's 50 things we could be doing with Black Window Cream right now, that I could be doing at least 25 things right now for my personal shit, my personal creative career or whatever. But we also have to find that balance, you know, like at least we take Sunday off, and Sunday I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm chilling. You know?
And then
like
Sunday, sometimes I feel like it like almost warms me up to the idea of like, yo, that taking a break was fucking cool. And most people usually do that on Saturdays and Sundays and Friday nights. And Friday nights. Yeah. So it's like they have, and I forget what that was like, you know, because since pretty much college, I haven't done that shit. It's always been like work all the time. And so now I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, we're putting in 6 days a week at various hours that we put in and clock in and shit, and I always want to be as effective as possible, but there are days where I'll get here or I'll just wake up and just not feel it, you know what I mean? I'm like, fuck. Or at the end of the day, I'm like, I just need to go binge some shit and just feel like I detach from my brain. And I think I've talked about it on here before too, where I like found video games as that. And it's funny because I feel like now with this whole quarantine shit, all the creatives are playing Call of Duty now, and these are my options. And I try to explain this to my girlfriend because she fucking hates video games. When I get on Call of Duty, it's like me getting on a Zoom conference call with my friends. You know what I mean? Except it's in the form of us staring at a screen and fucking making those noises and talking shit and yelling a bunch of stuff that your girlfriend probably will hate listening to. But when we do it, it's like, oh, that's a cool way to bond with creatives because no one else is doing shit and they all have time to be on a game. So it's like what I do. But when I do it, it stops my head from thinking about we need to find a new way to schedule podcast social posts and make it so our lives are easier, or we need to make newsletters and we need to do all this shit, and I need to book interviews and I need to do all this stuff, and I need to work with my clients and answer all these emails, all that shit that's always in my head that makes me feel like I'm not doing enough because there's just so much shit orbiting around my head. When I do something like play a video game or I find like a good series on Netflix or whatever, it like almost pauses my psyche.
Yeah.
It shifts everything and it makes me reset. So when I'm like done with that, if I can go straight to, you know, if this is at the end of the day, I can go like straight to bed and get a good night's sleep so that the next morning when I wake up, my whole next portion of my day is completely like high energy, fully focused because I got it all out of my system, or I got the break I needed to do it. But if you work to the end of the day, you're fucking yourself.
The engine can't always be on go. And I found that, like, dude, that's so key because it's so important to turn it off because, like I said, I'm always envious. I'm honestly envious of my friends who have like full-time jobs in the sense of like, because the minute they walk out that office at 5, they're off.
Yeah.
Like,
but do you
most
ever
of them
feel
are
like
off.
If you ever do that, I think that the problem is that there's so much to do. This is what I deal with. If I were to say like, all right, like even on vacation or some shit, if I go and I try to say I'm taking this time off from whatever my life is to pause, or I'm going to take these 2 days on this weekend to fucking chill and do all this shit, throughout the day, I'm annoyed at myself, and it becomes not fun to have that free time unless it's like something that takes me out of my element. So like, for example, I could spend Saturday and Sunday fucking chilling on my couch and, you know, hanging out and maybe going to the beach or something. And it's like, well, that was pretty fun. But when I'm there on the couch, or if I'm in my own like something that I do more often, it's like I get annoyed at myself because I'm like, man, I'm just wasting time. I could be fucking excelling in my shit.
That's the part of you that I was just explaining earlier, is you're that type of person.
Right. Whereas if we go on a trip, if we were like, oh, we're going to New York to do X, Y, Z, or we're flying wherever, like it's so easy just to be like, I can go constantly and it never changes because I'm just doing something that I'm like obsessed with. But it's not like I purposely want to spend next weekend watching some other person's creation. You know what I mean?
But I know, but like, you know, if you're sitting there on Saturday and you're trying to take a day off because we just worked for 6, 7, 8 hours, 5 to 6 days straight, and you're sitting on the couch like, I'm wasting time watching Netflix, that's like part of the issue.
I don't think it is. I think it is part of the issue.
It's an issue from someone's perspective. Like if you're not getting burnt out, then that's your prerogative.
Boom,
for me,
yeah,
though,
exactly.
That's your prerogative. For me though, like when I'm off on Sunday, I'm not pissed that I'm chilling because I just worked six days straight.
Right.
Everyone was off yesterday and I wasn't.
I think maybe it's when if I have an off day and the off day is counterproductive and something that's giving me enjoyment, I get so much enjoyment from working. I love working. So if I wake up and nothing's happening and now it's 2 p.m, and I've been up for 6 hours and I really haven't done shit except for make breakfast and like fucking walk to the grocery store to grab some shit, then I'm like, man, this could have been cool. But if I switched, you know, before quarantine, if I could get up and fucking haul to the beach, like yesterday was a great day. Woke up, finished a fucking series. We watched, what's the shit called? Hollywood, a series on Netflix. Cool. Finished watching that series, went to get some food and shit, came back, made food. I basically ate pizza for 4 meals straight because I'm about to do a cleanse today. So I ate pizza continuously, which is fire. And then at the end of the night, after we like watched shows and did some shit, we like went on a drive and like went out to the hills, bro, and the sunset and shit, and the sky's clear as fuck in LA. And we just drove around up there through Mulholland and like soaked in life. And then went back home and I was like, man, that was a fire ass day. You know what I mean?
You guys are always glued in your apartment and you did something else, but like there's plenty of shit to do, you know?
Yeah.
Go outside, run, walk.
Exactly.
Like obviously if you're sitting on your couch every Sunday and you're not doing anything, then
you go crazy.
Then, you get tired of that.
Yo,
but I think it's always a personal balance though, because definitely it's like, you just gotta, that's what I'm saying. It's up to you. Like you gotta know when you're burnt out. If you've been working your ass off and you're burnt out, then don't beat yourself up because you clock out at 2 p.m. one day, because that's what we do this shit for, straight up. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, like all my friends and people you know or that are out there and they have their jobs, and usually like the minute it hits 5 or whatever time they get off, they're off, and they know that they're not back on till 8. We have a luxury in that we have freedom, but we also have the burden of like never being off. Like I'm thinking about my shit 24/7, and we have to be the ones that are turning the switch off at some point. Like, no one's turning the switch off for me. No one's saying you're off. So I have to tell myself I'm off. Like, and that's what we've been trying to do, bro. Because you and me will sit here and ramble till 10 p.m. And if we didn't have girlfriends, they would like, we would just do that. But we were trying to be like, yo, we're at 7, we're off, and I'm leaving. Or at 6, 5, we're off.
It helps us in our teamwork aspect, just because we'll start to kill each other if we have to sit here and debate and come up with brand new shit every single day, because we're both thinking at high volume and we're just trying to do crazy output. And if we don't step away and take a break, or there's so many variations of it, but I think that it'd be kind of fun to talk about things that we've been doing in our free time, and like basically all we can do is consume content and fucking kick it. So we can talk about the content we've been consuming. But first, before that, because I wanted to say this at the beginning, if you're obviously you're listening to this and you're already 15 minutes into the podcast, so fucking hell yeah, you're the shit for listening to this podcast. I love you to death. So is Dave. We're fucking so appreciative that you're a fan of this podcast. I am curious because we've been trying to shift some shit, and I think it'll be cool. But like on Sundays, we do the quarantine and chill episodes, and this is so sidebar to what we've been talking about. We'll get back to it, I swear.
No, it's just fun.
Yeah, okay. So we've been doing the quarantine and chill episodes, which has been our fulfillment in place of the Sunday interviews that you're normally used to hearing since the beginning of time with this podcast. I don't want to do those interviews over Skype or Zoom because it fucking doesn't feel as authentic as it would be in real life. So I'm just going to stand by until we can fucking hug and shit again. But in the meantime, Quarantine and Chill, three interviews on one day, and we put them all into one podcast. We're thinking about switching it up so that we drop 3 individual podcasts on Sundays moving forward. So each person's is kind of split up. So I'm curious to see if as a listener, if you would like that, if that makes it a little easier to figure it out. I think the hard part is like maybe someone's name might not catch your attention. Maybe it's about like what they do usually, because as creatives, we're always behind the lens in some sort of fashion. So your name's really not as popular as the work you do. So I think it's a way for us to kind of explain who that person is in like the title, which may make it a little easier for you guys to find it. I don't know. We're just going to try some shit and see if that works.
And have we talked about the highlight channel yet?
No, I was going to say that next.
Okay, so then let's go.
Let's go.
So
we started
the highlights channel.
We have a highlights channel.
One.
What else can I play? This. We have a fucking highlights channel. No, we started. If you go onto our YouTube channel, it's the only other YouTube channel that we have recommended on our page, but a second channel for our highlights, which is new. We've always wanted to do highlights, but we haven't rolled it out until now. So what we're going to do is upload shorter bit portions of the podcast, some people just don't have time to listen to full episodes, and I think that this will either fulfill that need for you to like get some good information in a smaller amount of time, or also let you know like what the interview may potentially be about. So we started a highlights channel, and we would love it if you would go subscribe to that on YouTube, because
so find it on Black with No Cream YouTube page, or search BWNC podcast highlights and subscribe, because just what you can bank on is, if you're listening to the entire podcast to find like the gold like we do, we're giving you that gold like chopped out for you with BRoll on YouTube. So you can find all the best moments. You can dive back to old podcasts, and as the weeks continue, we're going to be loading it with content. So definitely go support us on there.
Yeah. We think it's a way, hopefully what we think will happen is that this is an opportunity for us to find new creators out there that could enjoy the podcast, but don't know that it exists. And since YouTube is like a massive search engine, us being able to kind of pull out some of the gems and title them properly so that you know what it's about may find new members, so that hopefully our community continues to grow, and we'll all benefit from that, which is cool. But also, if you're trying to hop in the shower, take a shit in the morning, and brush your teeth, whatever it may be, and you want a quick little snippet of something fire, we're packing these things with B-roll, God willing that the fucking copyright strikes don't happen left and right, because we're trying to figure out how to finesse that. But they have B-roll, they're fucking concise, they're amazing stories that we're pulling from the podcast. So yeah, it should be cool. So check that out, subscribe to that if you can. But let's get back to this shit. So like I said, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, I'm out here fucking killing people. I'm a beast, all right? Fucking slay day all day.
Are you actually good, or are you low-key trash?
Yeah, I'm like a level like 89 or some shit. but I'm pretty fire. But this is a good example, bro. Here's a great example of how I had to it's like give and take, right? So like you said, you could come to the work today and decide like, I'm clocking out. And if you do that all the time, you're fucking yourself up. So like for today, I got to the office, I started working on that video I sent you that I think is funny, that explains how we came up with our notification bell thing. You'll see it on our Instagram. If you haven't watched it, go find it. But sent you that video that I did. And then right after, when I was waiting, my brother hit me because he's off. He's like, Modern Warfare, let's go. And I was like, oh yeah, let's fucking go. So we get on there and we start playing. And then Lauren's coming to the office to drop some shit off. So I had to get off it real quick to make sure she didn't think I was just here playing video games all day. And then I get off, and when I got done, she left, and I was talking to you. I was like, oh, we need to work on some whatever the fuck we worked on today. And right before I did, my monitor, I flip it over to be able to play, because for some reason it like mirrors it or some shit. So I literally rotate my monitor every time I want to play Call of Duty. It was already that way, and I was like, my brother's still off. I was like, damn, I want to get back on and play. But I literally had to fight the want to do that, because although that is fun and it's a way to just kill time, like I know right now I could go get some shit accomplished in the next 3 hours versus just fucking play that game and it does nothing for my career unless I become like an ill-ass streamer. And that was like me completing fun, having a quick moment to have my little reset and then get back to work. And I've had a productive ass day, but it was about like not giving in to the urge of continuing my break. You know what I mean? Like clocking out for the whole fucking day, because then I did nothing. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think the good thing that we've done, and me personally, just speaking for myself, what I've done is like, I'm gonna say we because we both do this, but like we really treat this shit like a job. You know, if whether it's Black with No Cream or my personal shit, like I wake up and I know I'm starting work at a certain time and I end at a certain time, so I really don't allow myself like not working during those times is not an option.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
yeah.
because I do, but it's so, but for me, it's more so like at the time that I say I'm off, like really be off, like go relax, go work out, go like lay down, go focus on some other shit, because I'll extend it till I go to bed, like always. You know what I mean? But then, yeah, of course, like, so for me, in terms of like the clocking out part, it's really been more like, listen, you've worked hard today. Don't beat yourself up because you didn't get as much as you wanted to get done. Like maybe your to-do list isn't knocked out. Like there's a bunch of shit you left on there. You weren't as productive. You procrastinated or whatever. But you fucking showed up today.
Right.
And now, like, go kick it. You know what I mean? Or it's like you got to take the Saturday off. But even if it is like 1 p.m. one day and I'm just like, yo, I feel like shit, Ben. Like I'm tired. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like I'm gonna call it.
Right.
And then but like on the certain days that I do that, that's about, you know, getting balance and fucking coming back and understanding that I'm gonna be better the next day, you know?
Yeah, facts.
But no, I really want to dive into some shows though, because I was interested to hear what you were watching.
You've been watching Jordan's doc, right?
Yeah. So my lineup recently has been Westworld, just finished yesterday. Won't say any spoilers. Dave also finished.
Dave is incredible.
Money Heist. I've been watching Money Heist, season 3 of Money Heist. I'll get to in a second. And then MJ Doc is the last one.
Right.
But yeah, Money Heist is sick, bro. The thing is that it's originally a Spanish show. So it's like like Spanish, like it's from Spain. So their Spanish is really, Spanish kind of has, like, I know Spanish. I understand Spanish fluently.
Cause it all subtitles or no?
Well, yeah. So you can flip it. A lot of people who have been watching it, because it's like top 10 on Netflix. I think people who don't understand Spanish have been flipping. Like they've done the English dub,
right?
But then you're obviously not listening. I think they've done a really good job with it, but they're not listening to the actor's actual voice.
Right.
So I listen in Spanish with English subtitles, and it's like a heist. It's a heist film, so it's like it's one of those where they have everything planned out and they're robbing a bank, but they're doing it like in a non-violent way, and then you have like the 8 members of the team, and they all have their own stories.
Yeah.
It's super sick. I've been watching that, so that's I'm on season 3 of that. But yeah, the MJ doc has been sick. That's been dope to have 2 episodes come out every Sunday.
I know. I watched the 5th episode last night, and I was gonna start the 6th, but I'm like, I'm gonna fall asleep. I'm not gonna do it justice. I want to watch it tonight. But that shit, bro. And this is why. I mean, I just dealt with it the other day, but this is when we always talk about like creatives getting bummed because content doesn't get shared. Like, bro, think about having, like, I remember in the 1st or 2nd episode of the Jordan doc, it was like this team was exclusively shooting with Jordan and the Bulls for like a whole year or whatever, and it's never been seen before footage. And I'm like, God damn, like that's an example of like how sometimes you be bummed because some shit didn't drop like immediately, like the project didn't come out, but in the like trajectory of that person that you're documenting's life, that shit could potentially roll out years from now. And like for that, Jordan's getting filmed in like 80 whatever year it was, and now that person's footage is coming to life in 2020 in a fucking massive release. You know what I mean? Like a superstar release. I
think that, dude, and we kind of reminded ourselves too, like whether it was on tour or working with different artists, like you take pride when you're working with these people, like when you're around a person like that, like obviously MJ is like the top of the top, but even some of these artists, you're like these people are gonna be remembered in history, and like our job is to like document these people while they're like at the top of the top. Yeah. And it's like that is the pride almost. You know what I mean? Like when Beyonce and Jay-Z are like, and they're doing their reunion tours or they're old, like we were there, like in their prime. You know what I mean? Like that's a prideful moment to like. So the footage, it also shows you like with sports, they capture everything. Like literally, they have audio. They have audio of everything. Like
that's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. I'm like watching. I'm like, God damn. Can you imagine editing this shit? Like, fuck, editing this would be insane. Like, but the amount of content that they have to curate the stories, and like probably pre-predict based on what they have. Like, oh, cool, we do have that moment where, you know, Jordan and fucking Pippen were talking shit to somebody or whatever. Let's ask, you know, these 4 people in the interview about that. And then we can use their interviews and intertwine it with the actual clip that we have to make it almost look like that happened and then they found the footage. You know what I mean?
Right.
But like,
no,
you're
for
able
sure.
to strategize that shit through pre-interviews. Jordan Doc, everyone needs to check that out.
I've been interested in like the way they've story told because it's not
all over the place.
It's all over the place, right? It's not linear.
Yeah.
So, but they're playing it like in pieces. Like there's major pieces to the entire story of the Bulls, and they're playing those, like they'll go back and tell you that one, and then we get back to because it's all about one season, right? So that's like the base, but we just jumping around timelines. It's not so much about when, like the chronology of when stuff happened,
right,
which is a little confusing because I'm sure for you, like if you don't necessarily like,
yeah, sometimes I'm like, what the fuck?
If you're not read up on like the playoff actual history of the Bulls, like when they won championships year after year or whatever, and we're jumping around, you don't know what season you're in, kind of. Even I paused it and remind myself, like, okay, it was like, you know, it was 90, 91, 92 or whatever, 95, 96, 97, 98, you know, like, and then, but what's cool is like, there's so much deeper meaning in sports, and I feel like it's less about, like, you'll see him score 60 in a game, but it's more so they're talking about the people or like the relationships or,
well, the best part is
drive.
that I'm not a fucking fanatic when it comes to sports. Obviously, everyone knows that shit. But I know that Jordan is one of the greatest to ever do it, and I respect that shit. And when I was a kid, I had a fucking Bulls winter coat and shit and wore it to school, but I never like avidly watched ESPN and watched every single game. I didn't understand it and just didn't have that like put into my life. But knowing that, I can watch the film and follow along well. Like some shit I might be like, I don't know what they're talking about, and then it moves on, but it's done so well that a dumb person like me who doesn't understand sports can get it, but also really respect it, where I'm like, fuck, I wish I would have paid attention more to sports back then. Same with Kobe. Kobe passed away, like, fuck, like there's reasons why the fans go so crazy for these athletes, because they are playing at the highest level possible.
Right.
It's cool.
That's the cool thing about this doc, bro, because it's not necessarily about do you know X and O's of basketball. It's like there is this person who is the pinnacle of greatness on the planet at this one thing, and proved to be the best to ever do it or whatever. And here's his story and what drove this person and like everything that happened around this person, you know?
Yeah.
Which is dope. Another thing is Dave. I'm hyped on Dave as a show.
I was just gonna bring it to Dave. Yeah, me too. We're having Tony on here. Tony directed 3 episodes of Dave, and I met Tony when I directed some shit with Lil Dicky for EA, and so Tony and I like ran that together, and so I'm excited. He'll be on the podcast this coming weekend, so be on the lookout for that. But yeah, Dave, bro, for like that show being so real, and obviously he's so comedic and shit, but it gets so dark and heavy throughout the season that it just shows another light of his ability as a creator. You know what I mean? Like I think Dave has really got to fucking dial like that season.
Did you see his post on Instagram that he made when the finale dropped?
No.
You should go check that out. It's like this big long story of him basically saying like,
him never writing before, and he downloaded the script writing.
He never wrote before, and his whole philosophy has always been like, what if I'm right? And he's just been trying shit, and like to put a show together like that, because that was like, it could have been just like have you ever seen Ballers on HBO?
Yeah.
So Ballers was like the Entourage take on the sports world, but it was a dry, like it was like it lacked actual like empathy and emotion and character development, in my opinion. Right. And this show was like had that nuance where like you could feel it, like Atlanta in the sense like Childish Gambino or Donald Glover's Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
Atlanta's like was the standard of that, and I feel like this kind of takes your Entourage and your Atlanta type vibes, but it's interesting because it's like it's like the white man in the industry flipped on his, like, because Atlanta's like the black perspective of the world. Right. And this is like white man in the industry flipped on his head. Right. In hip hop, which is kind of cool, I think.
Right. Nah, and what's even cooler is that a majority of the people that are in it are like homies and not actors or actresses. Like majority of them, but like for specifically his DJ, his hype man is his actual DJ. Like, you know what I mean? He's not an actor. Like, this is his debut doing that shit. And he killed it. He has, like, one of the main parts. It definitely... Yeah. Everyone check this shit out. Everyone check this shit out. We'll talk more about it with Tony.
Yeah, we'll leave it for Tony.
This weekend. But The other thing I liked, what was the other ones? Little Fires Everywhere, great show on Hulu or FX. It's worth watching. And then also Waco. There's a it's not a documentary, but it's a micro series on the Waco incident that happened in Texas, which Lauren didn't know anything about that incident, which was crazy to me. But I don't remember hearing as much detail as they share throughout this series that kind of explains what was happening in the house and how shit went down with the police and the FBI and all this shit. That it's fucking crazy, bro. That's a banger to watch. And the last thing I was gonna say, what was the last thing I was gonna say? Oh yeah, this dude Shane Dawson is on YouTube. He's fucking really funny to me. He's like fucking over exaggerated like doc like I'm trying to think of what's the dude's name that did Bowling for Columbine. What's his name? Bowling for Columbine. Do you know who I'm talking about? The director that did that shit? No. Oh my God, Michael Moore. Fuck. He's like Michael Moore. Michael Moore would go into these situations and really like poke at shit and try to like put together these really like wild documentaries about stuff. And that's what this dude does on YouTube with like YouTube people. So he like goes into the world of this dude, Jeffree Star, who's like this massive fucking makeup person, and like kind of explains like how that person lives their life, but also does a makeup collab with them. And they're like, dog, like the makeup collab's going to be valued at like $35 million between the two of them doing this, between his YouTube channel and this person's stardom as like a makeup person. So you're seeing the process be built over like a 7-episode series. They're hour-long YouTube videos. That it's just the homie filming everything and then them like talking to each other, and it's like kind of just edited like a doc, but the budget of it is so low to produce. It's just them going and doing shit, but it's literally a dad cam probably, or like a, you know, I don't know, a DSLR, and that's it. And then like, the exposure is always fucked. Like he's always literally always taking off his ND filter.
The filmmaking is actually trash.
The filmmaking's well, the quality of it is trash, but what he captures and the way they share it and get the content is amazing, which makes it great filmmaking in my opinion. Is like it's not about it looking glossy, it's about just getting a good story with bootstrapped. But yeah, I've been watching that shit, so that's pretty funny. But I don't know. Anything
I remember
else
didn't he do one on Jake Paul or something?
Jake Paul, yeah, that's how I learned about him.
I remember watching that because it was like the camera was moving all the damn time. It was
traumatized,
yeah,
zooming in and shit, pop zooms, like all this shit that makes you feel like, oh my God. But the actual storytelling and like what you learn about these people in this shit is pretty good. So worth checking out that dude's channel. Literally gets like 20 million views a video. 20 million, bro.
That's
unreal.
Crazy.
Yeah, fucking crazy.
Dude, I think about Netflix. Netflix, I think, is proud to probably have shows in the can to be able to roll out. Because I just think about because I just finished Westworld, right? Westworld always leaves you like empty after. You're just like, damn. You're like contemplating life, and you're like, when is the next season gonna come out? And I'm thinking like,
never.
You know, like. Production, like they can't even start filming right now, right? So they can just only start like pre-pro probably. And
I think they were filming
this is over
because
season 4 already.
Lauren's client lives like out in the boonies or whatever. We dropped some shit off to her the other day, and she's like, "Oh yeah, right over there is where they film Westworld." And they were filming, but they stopped. So now that road's been closed down because like they have the spot. So like they just shut down production. I was listening to an interview with Zoe Kravitz earlier, and she's going to be in like the new Batman, I think. And so she was filming, and they literally just shut down production in Europe, and they all just like are chilling there. And I'm like, God damn. Well, she stayed in Europe, but they were like filming in Europe or something like that, and she decided to stay there with her husband versus like fly back. But they were in the middle of production just as soon as shit kicked off in the US.
Yeah.
So it's like no one, all these like Dave got greenlit, I think off of the 3rd episode. Like they got greenlit for the next season, and who knows when the fuck they're gonna shoot that shit.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So everything's gonna be super delayed.
Yeah, it sucks.
It's crazy. But also like there's this, because me and Courtney watched this show all in one day. It's called Outer Banks, and I never would have watched this shit ever. But she clicked on it, and we watched the first episode, and then I ended up liking it, and we catched the whole season. And the show's kind of blowing up on Netflix right now, but it's almost like it's the perfect timing, because it's like the show could have come out any other time, but it came out right now, and it's like it captured like everyone at one point, to the point where like I think they got probably greenlit for a second, or they're on their way, and now it's like who knows when they'll film it, you know?
Yeah, that's the last one I'll talk about is Hollywood. I saw no promo for this shit at all. And it like popped up on my suggestion. I was like, we had nothing else to watch. We watched everything else. What else should we watch? Clicked Hollywood. Dog, this show is fucking amazing. Like, we literally watched it in one night and then the next morning binge the rest of the day, and it's like 8 episodes, high quality as fuck. It's like shot in the early like 60s, 70s or whatever, or 60s, I would say, like when filmmaking started like allowing like black actors to like, that's right when that started happening. And it kind of goes throughout the story of like this woman becoming like the best actress or going to try to fight to be the best lead in a film and shit. And shit was crazy. But I'm like watching, I'm like, God damn, this is so money, but the production would be so hard because you have to shoot it all on lots. Everything has to be built. There's tons and tons of manpower. So the show for sure isn't getting shot for a long time now. And I fucking loved it. You know what I mean? Like, God damn it.
I know.
So
and I'm really thinking like that too. Like when I'm watching shows, you're just like, I feel like that's kind of where you can turn it valuable. Like if you're a creator and you're watching like a show, like watch the show and really care about the story, but you're also kind of observing like shot choices and like, how, you know, like why are they choosing this shot or this kind of camera movement, or like, how do you think they pull this off? And if you're kind of thinking of that, you're like, you take it as a learning experience, you know?
Right. I feel like we can wrap it up on this. Definitely one of those days. So we wanted to switch it up and just chat with you guys about some shit we were doing. But again, go subscribe to the fucking podcast highlights channel. We'll leave a link in the description. Thank you for listening to this. And we'll be back this Sunday with another Quarantine and Chill episode. Maybe just split up into 3 instead of all in one. Who knows? But let us know what you think about that idea, because we make this shit for you guys. And not
you'll know, because instead of seeing like 3 names on one episode, you'll have 3 individual episodes, but they're going to be shorter. So you can pick which one, like you could pick individually the person to listen to.
Right.
So.
All right, cool. See you in a few days, you bitch.